Hi, I'm Trish from Trish and John's Garden, and I wanted to show you a couple of ways that we germinate seeds. And I know that John did his pepper seeds, and he did them in the air pruning pots, and he's very excited about that. But what I wanted to do is get some parsley started, and I don't know if you realize or not, but parsley is very slow to germinate. So even though it's the middle of February, I decided I would show you how to germinate these seeds an easier way. I don't know if it's easier. I don't know if you've seen it before. A lot of people use a wet paper towel, but I use a wet coffee filter. I put them in the coffee filter in the baggies and then put them near a heat source, and they usually sprout in about a week. Lot faster than normal. Parsley germination is about 3 to 6 weeks, and I don't know if I'm really that patient. So I'm going to show you what I did, and then I'm going to show you the results of it. I used, let me put the spoon down, I used some organic seeds, parsley seeds. We're going to try to start this off early. And what I did was, I just put them in a bowl of warm water for about an hour. There's a lot of people who say that you should soak them. A lot of people say that you shouldn't soak them. Soak them for 24 hours, soak them for 4 hours. I just put them in, just give them a little head start, just about an hour. Okay, little tiny seeds are hard to grab, especially when they're wet. So let me show you what I do. Wet coffee filter, fold it in half. Spoon, and here you go. Just soak them up, put them down. Takes a little bit of time, but no more time than if you planted them in dirt. The nice thing about this is you're not wasting any dirt. You know, we pay a lot of money for the potting soil. We pay, well, I bought peat pots. I'll tell you more about that in a minute. But, you know, you spend a lot of time setting these things up in soil. And if they don't germinate or they're not viable seeds, then you've wasted it and you gotta throw it all out and start over again. So I kind of like this method better because I know which ones germinate, and I'll just plant those. Okay, so I have a few here just so you can see. Fold it over once, fold it over twice, and then bag. Today's date, what it is. Oh, wait a minute, let me use this one. Okay. And in it goes. I seal them. There's a lot to be said about airflow, so every couple of days, maybe once a day, open up the bag, make sure you get some fresh air in there. I like to keep them sealed, otherwise they will dry out really quickly with the coffee filters, especially with winter heat inside. And another thing is keeping them straight up. I've seen a lot of people do this and then they just kind of toss them in the corner wherever they land. There's a reason I like to do them straight up. So, straight up, what I did was, I have a couple here that I did last week, 215. That's what these other bags are for. The one problem with this method is that sometimes you will get a little bit of mold. Now these have not germinated yet, but I don't know if you can see the color on there. I just want to change the coffee filter. I would like to put them in some fresh water, fresh coffee filter. Make sure that we don't have any problems with mold and give them the best chance that they can get. So, I'm just going to show you really quick, and then I'm going to show you some that actually sprouted and how to plant them. it's kind of neat. If you come in here really close, it's kind of neat to watch. Pull it open. You'll see some of these, if I could get it up. They're swollen. They do look like they're ready to go. As a matter of fact, if I take a look, okay, and it looks like we have success. As fussy as these parsley seeds are, I found two that have the tiniest little split in them and a hair of a taproot coming out. So these two are getting planted. I'll check out for a couple of more, but that's good news. Good news. Here's another one. Here's another one. All right, so we got 3 parsley seeds. The rest of them will go back in a fresh coffee filter in a bag for another week. I have high hopes. Looks like we'll get some parsley to germinate after all. Okay. All right, so parsley seeds that did not germinate, repackaged, fresh water, fresh coffee filter. I labeled it with today's date, but I wanted to make sure I remembered that these were the seeds that I had planted week 2. So this is round 2, and away they go. I did get some to germinate. It's really hard to see, and I really wanted to show you how to do this and what you're really looking for them to look like. So I did some basil the same day, and these sprouted. This is what you want. That's what you really want. Now you know that these seeds are viable. They germinated. They're even at the point now where they really needed to go in the pots probably 2 days ago. These germinated in about 3 days with this method. There's some in there that have not sprouted. So those I won't plant because I know that they're not going to grow. But this is much easier to see than the parsley seeds. Although the ones that I saw, those little hairy roots come out, yeah, planting those today. We're going to see what happens. In the meantime, let's take a look at these. These look pretty neat. I'm pretty excited about this. And the reason I use the coffee filter is because if you don't get to plant them, just like I didn't right away, you don't want the roots to try to grow into the fibers of the paper towel. That would be very difficult to get them out. Okay, I would much rather plant one like that than one like that. But look at how happy they look. Spring is just around the corner. Let me get this guy off. Whoop, he's in between. Ideally, you want to catch them when they're here, just when they start to split, not when they've already started to grow roots, because they're way more delicate then. It's okay. Here's this little guy. He's going in the dirt, definitely. So you see, it's a pretty easy way to sprout some seeds. If you make sprouts at home, you're familiar with this process. But like I said, it's kind of an easy way to save some money, save some time, save some frustration, get the seeds sprouted, stand them straight up. If you notice, all my roots are going down in one direction. They're not all crazy all over the place, so they're going to be really easy to pick up, really easy to put in the dirt. I'm going to show you how I do that right now. Okay, so basil, parsley, known for being fussy. They don't like to be transplanted, but I'm in a pinch because I live in Connecticut. We have a short growing season. If I waited to plant these seeds outside in the garden, I would never see any herbs. So I germinated the seeds. We're going to plant them in the dirt, but I wanted to use a pot that I would not disturb the roots as much as possible. A parsley does not like to be moved. It doesn't like its taproot touched. So this is going to be a delicate operation transplanting them into the garden. But what I decided to use were peat pots, and they're not my favorite. I like to plant in regular pots or plastic cups, but I'm going to use these peat pots because what I'm thinking is I can just take off the bottom of this and put the whole pot in the ground, and then this way I'll disturb those roots as much as possible and try to avoid transplant shock. So this is what we're going to do. How I do it is mixing the water and the oil first. So that's what we're going to do. Ready? Not too wet, but wet enough to hold together. Just damp. Now remember, these seeds germinated in a lot of moisture up against those coffee filters, and the coffee filters were damp. They were used to having it very humid, very moist, and so I certainly don't want to shock these poor little babies by putting them into dry soil. So I'm gonna just get all the water in there. There we go. Should I use a spoon? Nah. Kind of like making meatloaf. Okay. All right, I think we're pretty good here. I might have to get a little more water in here as we go, but I don't want it to be soaking wet. So this is good for now. Okay, pot number 1, here we go. Since these are not going to be backfilled, I want them filled up pretty high. Okay, first seed, here we go. All right, so 1 pot, 1 plant. I'm going to make a nice wide area here because I really don't want to damage these roots. And what I'm going to show you first is the basil. Because it sprouted and it's already growing quite a bit, you want to be delicate with these guys. But, you know, life is life and it will continue. Root down, and it goes. Done. And guess what? You don't have to do it straight up if you don't want to. But there's 1 basil plant ready to go. Now I only have 23 more containers to do. Okay, so I have my just germinated parsley seeds planted, and I have my little tiny basil sprouts planted. Again, peat pots, not my favorite thing. I find that they wick all the moisture out of the soil. So, the way I'm going to try to combat that is I have this bucket. I'm going to line these little guys up in here, but at the risk of overwatering, I'm going to put just a little bit of water in the bottom because I really don't want these peat pots to soak up all of the moisture out of the soil that I just worked so hard to get into the soil. Okay, these will keep them wet, give it a little humid steam bath kind of idea, and hopefully it won't be too much that the roots will rot. We'll have to check on that. So let's line all these guys up. I think they should all just about fit 12. I got 2 of them. Wiggle them in there. Okay. So I have high hopes for this parsley. I didn't know until I started planting parsley seeds that there is an awful lot of folklore about parsley, and it's the rule of thumb is that parsley will only grow in a garden where the woman is the master of the house. So we're gonna see if parsley will grow in my garden. In the meantime, I'm gonna set up a little hothouse environment. Got the plastic bucket, peat pots, a little bit of water on the bottom, not too much. And then I bought a clear plastic paint tarp, cut it up, and I put it this way. I gotta keep them from drying out. So, wrap this around the bottom. Tuck it in a little. Pretty good. I think that ought to do the trick. Little greenhouse effect. Another thing, light. Not too bad. It gives a good source of light. It does make it through the cloudiness of the tarp. It's going to give them enough light for the time being. If I find that they need more light in the winter months with it not being so bright out, we'll bring this grow light down a little bit closer. But I think it's going to be okay for now. We used, this is from the hardware store, probably about $10, and I have this, it's a natural daylight bulb. So I don't know if you can see the little picture on it. It's not yellow, it's got the full spectrum light. Hoping we can replicate springtime, hoping we could replicate the sun a little bit, get these babies growing and sturdy and healthy and strong, so when it's time to go outside finally, we can get them out there and happy growing. Thank you, and we'll see you soon. Bye. Okay, so here we go. I think we got it. With a little help from John, we managed to get this all rigged up. I didn't think to put it on the side, but apparently the light does much better on the side. They're right near the heat, so there's their source of warmth. They have their source of light, and they're in the corner of my dining room, so they're not going to be bothered at all, and we'll be able to check on them.